Welcome to Zach and Stevie Have a Podcast. I'm Zach.
I'm Steve.
E.
Did you say Zachy?
No, I just said Zach and Stevie. Because
Oh,
I don't refer to myself as Zachy, but I refer
That'd
to
be
you
weird to refer to yourself with an E at the end.
as... Yes, it would.
Yeah, I get it.
Hey, Zachy.
But I've always had a habit, even growing up, of referring to my friends with the E at the end.
Yeah.
I don't know why that was.
I always called my friends by their last name. That was the thing.
I did
the
that when I was
last name
older.
thing. Okay.
When I was older
Yeah,
in
probably.
high school.
I don't remember yesterday, so let alone elementary school.
Yeah, you never wonder if it actually happened?
Yeah. I wonder if I have brain damage.
Yeah, I wonder if I was just placed here yesterday. Yeah, with memories of life.
That thought goes through your mind.
All the time. All the time.
You have this existential crisis.
Zach, my life is an ongoing existential crisis. That's what life is. Because every day I'm like people will tell me stories about their lives when they were little kids.
Yeah.
I can't remember anything.
Me
there's bits and pieces of almost planted thoughts.
Everything else is a play.
Yeah, everything else.
Steve is the star of the play, everyone else.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if I learned that I was put here yesterday.
Yeah, you'd believe it.
Yeah.
You'd be like, that makes complete sense.
It makes that checks out. That checks out because I don't remember any of my childhood.
Yeah.
I'm basically Jason Bourne. Without all the cool abilities, I have amnesia of my past.
So it's not because you're some secret agent. It's because you just walked around telling people stories.
It's because I had 5 concussions as a child. I do remember that happened.
Yeah.
So I remember the aftermath of having to go to the hospital a lot as a teenager.
So you just excelled so much in life. They're like, this guy is too amazing. We have to set him down a little bit here. But let's wipe his memory and get him back on track.
Wipe him. He figured out too much too young. Wipe it. No, it's like this guy is a waste of time and energy. Just wipe him.
No, that's not it at all.
No. But yeah, no, it's funny because there's a ton of things that I can't remember from my childhood at all.
It makes sense because we did a podcast on Tuesday that was about 90s nostalgia, and everything we talked about we liked was actually from the 80s.
From the 80s. Once again, probably all planted thoughts. Most likely a calendar issue.
More than likely, yes.
Yeah. I think the calendar messed me up.
Yeah.
I don't want to rant on this for the 3rd episode in a row.
Yeah.
I really hate calendars.
Elliot said, can I tear out the February from the 2020 calendar?
I'm glad I'm starting a movement. Everybody's getting rid of February.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's the snowiest month when it snows.
Yeah.
Get rid of it. Then it won't snow.
That's true. We had some other mistakes.
There's logic that's missing here.
We had some other mistakes in our 90s.
Yeah, we did.
You got all the dates wrong, you
A
said?
few corrections. I did not get
You
all
said
the
them so confidently.
Well, Zach, I have this... Zachy.
Yeah, Stevie.
Zachariah.
Well.
I have this... Zechariah. I have this ability to say things with absolute confidence, even if I'm not confident. And that's not good. I'm not saying that's a good thing, but I always do it.
Yeah.
In the hopes that I'm probably right.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I am right. A lot of times I'm not right.
I would say 85% of the time you're right.
Thank you. Well, wow.
That's a pretty high number.
That's high praise.
Yeah.
I don't think it's that high. Sarah would probably say 30% of the time. But anyway, no, it was Pocahontas. I had the wrong year. I
Yeah.
said 95. It was 96. Or I said 96. It was actually 95 because The Hunchback of Notre Dame came out in 96. And that's the most forgettable Disney movie,
Yeah.
I think, of that era.
For sure.
Because I remember Hercules, and I didn't like it. I remember... what's the one that came out later than that? You know,
evidently you like it so much, you remember it so
yeah,
well.
I know, it's so good. You know what we kind of glossed over, though, was that the Pixar movies all started coming out in the 90s. And that was 95 brought
Toy Story.
us Toy Story.
Yeah.
Did you go see that in theaters?
No.
You didn't?
No.
You're too old.
I don't remember.
You were like 12 at that point.
I'm trying to flip through these planted memories I have, and I can't remember.
You're planning memories?
I don't remember going to Toy
Yeah.
Story.
I'm pretty sure Zach and I are robots. A bunch of planet memories. We've actually only been on the earth for about 20 minutes. It's all started today. Or is this a planet memory?
I don't know.
And we're living in tomorrow
I think you're
already.
watching too many sci-fi movies.
Whoa. No. Anyway, yeah, you don't remember what you don't remember going to see that movie?
No,
That's the funny
I don't
thing.
remember going that often to the movies.
Yeah, man, I remember going to the movies too much.
I don't remember much.
That's all I remember doing as a child. Is that bad?
No, that sounds about right.
That sounds about right.
You remember the high moments. I remember,
The high moments.
Yeah, no one remembers the mundane. Like Steve, I remember that one time I was sitting in my room and I didn't have anything to do, so I read a book.
That I can assure you that never happened. I didn't. My first book I ever read was back in 2012. It was Zach's book.
Well, that's not true because my book didn't come out to 2014.
Was it
that's our-
2014?
Yeah, how
I
about
thought it
that?
was 2012.
No, I'm not that old, Steve.
2 years difference. When did you start writing it? 2013?
Yeah,
Okay, and then you released it in 2014.
I did.
That was the first book I read from start to finish.
Oh, thanks.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
You're welcome. Anyway,
So there was a couple other things. You had a couple dates had wrong. Most of the sitcoms we liked actually started in the 80s.
yeah,
There's really nothing
'cause
good
all
from
the
the
good
90s.
stuff was from the 80s.
Yeah.
Nothing good happened in the 90s. The 90s were just snarky.
Yeah, it was a whole decade of just
Sarcasm.
wisecracks.
And everybody's just like, life is so hard. The 80s was all about like, life is great all the time.
Something like that. I don't know.
Maybe it was us just like swallowing down the truth. I don't know. I feel like the 90s was a bummer.
Yeah.
And you look back at it, at least the early 2000s were, the upswing.
Of course.
So, Zach,
Yes, Steve.
you graduated in 2001.
I graduated in 2002, actually.
Yep. I graduated. I know years.
Maybe it's not 85%. You're going down quickly.
Yeah,
here.
thank you, Zach.
I'm going to have to talk to
you
Sarah.
were very kind when you said 85%, because I'm like, I don't think it was that. You were born in 83, but you were November of 83. I was March of 85, so that really is only one school year.
Yes.
All right. Anyway.
Yeah.
What was my whole point?
I don't know.
Do you remember what was like the most what the big popular thing to do was back when we were seniors in high school?
Oh, boy.
'Cause I don't. Once again, I don't know if I actually graduated high school.
I don't remember.
Does anybody remember doing anything?
All I remember about that was just getting schoolwork done. Just regular school
You remember
stuff.
sitting down and doing schoolwork?
Huh.
My memories are so vague of high school that you could easily convince me that it never happened. I was never actually there.
Sometimes you get thrown off by something and you can't get past it. Like you're like you got your two fingers on your temple
Like,
over
I'm
here.
Professor X in it
And you're
right now.
trying to rethink about, am I really here right now? What is going on?
Yeah, I'm going through a real bad situation right now.
You look nice though. You got a haircut.
Thanks, Zach. I'm preaching on Sunday, so
you got to get a little top it off.
I had to look more presentable. I got my beard lined up.
So what are we learning on Sunday?
Okay, so last week's podcast is my message.
Oh, so are you just gonna go up there and play it?
Yeah,
It's kind of like a promo.
Yeah, you know how like a lot of modern artists now, that's literally what they do. They go up with like their album and they just play it, and then they maybe sing along with it, maybe dance to it, but it's a lot of just staring at the audience.
Nice.
That's my plan.
That's a good plan.
Here's the podcast. What do you think? No. So what I did was, so this whole idea of contentment's really been on my heart. I hope that was apparent when we talked about it last Friday. Because my message was going to be very different for this Sunday. I was going to talk about Romans chapter 12, which I've done enough, but never with the adults. I've never actually talked about it with the adults. You spoke on it on a worship night last year, I think.
Spoke on what?
Romans chapter 12.
I think so.
Are you serious
I
right
don't
now?
remember.
You don't remember? That was
I
your
don't-
first time. It was your first time speaking on the main side.
I don't remember anything. I have a problem.
Holy cow! I'm pretty sure if you moved away,
I wouldn't remember what
you
state I was
immediately
from.
forget. Be like, I had a friend named Steve.
I think
We had a
so.
podcast. It had 100 episodes. Like,
I think so.
yeah,
I have a
maybe that
problem.
happened. No, Zach. I'm a little worried about you.
Yeah.
You came in really happy this morning.
Yeah, me and my cat, we go into a room, we don't remember why we went in there. And
Don't say-
my cat, My cat.
How many
Speaking
times
of my cat.
How many times has Laura just walked in to you sitting downstairs, staring at a blank wall, and the cat sitting next to you, staring at the exact same blank wall, and neither one of you remembers why you went downstairs?
Often.
Often,
That
but
happens-
you remember
that
that.
happens all the time. Our cat's had some issues this week. We always
Poor cat has dementia.
my cat. Yeah, I think it's fine. It's
Yeah.
fine. It doesn't have like too bad a dementia.
Oh,
The-
gosh.
The vet said maybe it's dementia. It's just getting older. The cat's like
65.
let's see, 2008.
Yeah.
Like, it's over 15 years old.
Yeah, that's not a super old cat, man.
Yeah, but it's kind of old. But
Is it? For a cat? I thought cats lived into their 20s.
sometimes if they're lucky.
If
But
you
the
don't
cat-
stop feeding them.
The cat, so the cat's it's a very good cat as far as using its litter box,
Oh, good.
unless it has some tummy issues, and it has some tummy issues this week.
Oh, good.
So we had some issues around the house where the cat was leaving us presents, and that was not fun.
Not birds.
No,
assuming.
no. This is a different kind of present.
Different type of present. It's not like, hey, I love living with you guys. Here's my offering to you.
Yeah, cats
It's
are
like-
weird.
Yeah. Yeah. Cats are weird, man.
Yeah, like I'm gonna go kill something and put it on your porch
Well,
because
that's
I imagine you're gonna enjoy this.
that's the highest praise a cat can give you, though.
Yes.
Is bringing you a gift like that.
Yeah.
Because it's showing that you are their master.
Oh.
That is what it is. What
Okay.
that cat's doing is just absolutely disrespectful. It's like, yeah,
So
I don't want to be here anymore with you people.
my hope for my future here is not going well. Like
Yeah.
if I'm thinking about me and the cat stare at the wall now, and now the cat's doing this, it's just going downhill.
Yeah, your
quick for me.
memory, like, did you didn't like hit a light pole on the way in here?
I don't think so.
You woke up and you're like, hey, everything's good.
Not that I remember.
No, good. I'm glad, Zach, because you concerned me a little bit. So this week, anyway, going back to Sunday morning.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, it's okay. I'm speaking on Philippians chapter 4, like verses 4 through 13, and really just bringing to light. I'm actually starting off with. I'm really excited about this. I'm not going to get too much into it because I don't want to give anything away. I'm going to talk about how scripture used out of context can be dangerous, and how Philippians 4:13 is often used out of context. So I'll be starting with that, and then kind of going from what that verse is really all about, and kind of reverse engineer it, because I'm going to go from the end of the chapter and work my way back to the beginning. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited about it. I love having the opportunity to do it. I'm very out of practice with speaking to the congregation in this way. I actually went back and I watched a little, and this is going to sound, it's not because I wanted to, it's because I wanted to remember what I felt like, it feels like, and looks like when I'm up in front of the audience.
Yeah.
That was the dumbest thing I ever did. If I ever want to take away whatever remaining confidence I had,
Yes, go watch yourself.
is go
do it.
watch myself. I was like,
Exactly.
oh my gosh, why do people listen to me? I didn't ever.
Yeah, never do that.
yeah.
I never listen to myself,
I've listened to myself before.
except the podcast.
Yeah, I mean, I listen to the podcast with my kids.
But if I preach or something that's recorded, I hate listening to it.
I've done that before. I've listened to myself, but my goodness, watching yourself is the most humbling thing ever, because it's horribly embarrassing. And watching myself back, so I did 2 messages last year with the adults, one in April of last year and one in December. I think I kicked off the Christmas season. Pastor Warren allowed me to kick off Christmas.
You did
season.
one in June. The
No.
beginning right before you went on your, that's right before you went on your sabbatical, because John Jay.
Oh, it was May. It was May. And John James
John
contacted me in June, and I didn't get back to him until July.
Okay.
So it was the end of May that I did that
right.
message. Thank you. You're right. Because I referenced our Disney trip in it, and I talked way too long about
About Disney.
that trip and how awful it was. And the sad thing was, man, I was watching that and I was like, oh, I was in a really bad place. Like at last April.
Yeah,
I was
looking at it and thinking of it.
May, I mean, you could tell that I was really struggling. I was really, really struggling. But thanks, thank God, like, he's really done a work on my heart and changed, the direction I'm doing things. And honestly, what I'm talking about this Sunday is what I've been working on, is that contentment right where I'm at.
Yeah.
And how that's a universal truth. That's not just true for one person, for me, or it doesn't work for some. It can work for everybody. We can all be content and find joy in that contentment. But what is contentment is the real question. So, yeah, I'm really excited about that, and just having a unique opportunity to share that with the congregation.
Well,
So,
great.
Yeah, man. What do you got going on this weekend? Anything exciting?
It's beautiful weather in Western
It is.
Pennsylvania. It's like beginning of April when we got 80s.
Yes.
And so I'm doing the getting ready for summer routine, which is getting your mower ready.
Oh, buddy.
Have you mowed yet?
No. Have you?
No.
Okay.
No. Like our grass it's pretty much dead around our house.
Dude, our grass is high. I need to
You
cut it.
need to cut it,
I
yeah.
do need to cut it.
So I, got to get the battery, make sure it's got the charge in it, change the oil on the tractor, all of those things
This
to get
is
ready.
the best dad talk.
Yeah, to get ready to go out and do that. So that's just, that's this plan this weekend.
Dude,
get the
but that's-
mower ready.
To me, the beginning of the grass cutting season is my favorite.
Really?
Yeah, it's mid season where I'm like, I could be done with this right now. I don't want to do this anymore.
Well, you shouldn't have the bees chasing you this year, hopefully.
Yeah, it's a new crop of bee. That one bee that got away, he's coming back with his new hive
Well,
to seek vengeance.
they should be getting ready for the summer.
They are.
So they're eating-
They're bulking.
They're
They're
bulking
bulking.
up.
They're getting their protein now. So yeah, if you don't recall, I think it was episode 24. We talked about there was the first story, which was me blowing up the bees
Yeah.
in the hole in my backyard. Then the second time, I killed the bees with a powder on the side of my house.
Yeah.
But I said that one bee got away,
Yes. For next year.
and that's the super bee.
Yeah, he is.
He's coming back.
I've seen bees out and about.
He's gonna have like a little headband on. He's gonna be like John Rambo. He's gonna come marching in with his little flexed muscles. He's like, I've been eating fish for the past 6 months. I didn't even hibernate with the rest of my hive. And then he stings
Instead
me.
of an inch, he's like 2 inches.
Yeah, he's 2 inches. He stings me, and then he falls over dead.
He's been all of that pent up anger and bitterness for that one act.
That's
of
an
defiance.
illustration in and of itself.
Yes.
We build up all this animosity and hatred towards somebody to fall over dead
Yes.
like a bee.
Yes.
Because it's like, that's it.
Yep.
I did it,
Yep.
and it's over. But yeah, so hopefully there's
That's why yellow jackets are mean, because they can bite you over and over again.
Yeah, that's the thing. And this was a yellow jacket hive.
Ah.
Yeah, these were yellow jackets. They're not-
Oh, so he doesn't have the one-time thing.
No, he does not.
He's been getting ready.
Yeah,
You better watch out.
I've been getting ready too, though, Zach. I've been bulking.
No. You remember what gets the bees?
Confident.
Confidence. You're gonna be. Do you have a riding mower or you push?
Oh, I push.
Even better.
I'm gonna have to make sure I have cut off sleeves, so they can always see the gun show coming their way.
That's true.
It's like, oh no, it's on display. Here he comes. It's like a tank walking around.
You're gonna have your Doc Martens on.
Yes. With my shorts.
Yes.
Doc Martens and shorts.
That would scare me.
That would scare most people. Look at this punk rocker from the late 70s walking around.
There he comes.
Yeah, that's me. Nah, I hope there's no bees. The ground nests don't seem to usually pop up until the end of the season, though.
Yeah.
Right?
It's later in the year. Yeah. Usually now they're staking out where they want to live.
Yeah.
They've got
Figuring
their
it
belly full of fish and they're
Fish.
looking. They're flying around. Kind of
They're
going around
they're
the
coming-
corner.
They're coming. Yeah.
They check out the eave of your roof. Like, it's a nice little hole.
I saw some scouts.
Did you?
I did.
That's it.
I did. I think it was a wasp though,
Ah.
and they're turds too.
Yeah. I don't like them either.
But they're high up.
You know what? You know what we get in our house?
What's that, Zach? Stink bugs?
No. So I'll be sitting in my living room watching TV, and all of a sudden in the chimney I hear. I'm like, oh, what is that? And Steve, you put your sunglasses
It's Neil
on.
Peart?
Why
Is
did
it
you
Neil?
put your sunglasses on? It is. We start
It's too bright in here.
Yeah, I look over. I'm telling my story about the thing in my chimney, and I look over, and all I see is a forehead and sunglasses.
It's all dark over here now.
It is. So I hear boom, 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 and we get chimney sweeps. They're the birds.
Oh,
They
not
come-
an actual chimney sweep.
No, it's not like the guy from Mary Poppins. It doesn't hit like what was.
It's just me up here cleaning out That guy's back.
He's good.
That guy's back up on our roof.
No. So the bird flies down the chimney, and at the bottom of the chimney, like we have I think it's called a flue. It's that metal thing.
Yes.
So it just hangs out on there, like bounces around. I don't know what it's doing.
Yes.
It's like dancing a jig on there. And so when we open it,
Sweeping it out.
it comes flying around inside our house.
No.
Inside the living room.
Wait, you had a bird in your living room?
All the time. These things come in there.
Wait, all the time?
Yeah. This happens multiple times a year.
Zach, how have you not learned your lesson? Why do you keep opening up the flue for them?
Well,
You keep
because
hoping
if
for
we-
hoping for a Snow White situation
here-
where they come in and start
here's-
cleaning your room.
Addie, yeah, she sings to them, and she
Happy
puts out her
little
fingers, and they
working
land. Yes. Pretty soon they're flying with like a bucket of water in their mouth and
Truth
and
is, they're just pooping all through your house,
Yes.
and the cat's mad about it, so
No,
he
but
starts
the
doing
sad
it too.
part is sometimes they die there, and so I've opened up the flue, and there's like a carcass of a bird. So when I open
This
it,
is sick, man.
when I open it to let them out, it's so they
just-
they have life.
Thunk.
Well,
They put themselves in there.
I don't know if they get stuck or not.
Yeah,
Are you stuck in the chimney?
That's not your fault.
Can you? I know it's not my fault,
That's
but
on the bird, man.
but I have this like this inner battle. Do I let him out and fly around the house and try to catch him and let him loose,
He'll just
or
come
do
right
I just
back.
or do I just let him
Zach, if
let
we
him become deceased inside my chimney?
think about it this way. There's that bird over in our kids' department that keeps running into the window.
His name's
It's
Steve.
named Steve. Yeah, whatever. It's also a female bird. Ha ha. Okay.
It's a female cardinal.
It's a female cardinal. Keeps running into the window.
Yeah.
Birds don't learn lessons.
That they don't.
No. So you got to let it just die.
So you're saying it's the same bird that comes and keeps going back down?
100%. You let it out, it goes right back in there. And it's like, oh, man. They'll let me out again.
It's quite possible.
But they're not going to every time.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got it. You got
Just
it.
gotta cut bait with this bird.
You got to teach them a lesson.
All right, I will.
And you just got to leave them up in there.
Yeah.
That's what they used to do with pirates.
So, with pirates?
Yeah, they would hang a pirate and then they would leave them out for all the other pirates to see, like, hey,
That's gross.
if you come over here.
Last year we did. I don't want to talk about dead pirates. Last year we had our mission trip, and we brought the kids back.
Is this a common conversation for you? I don't want to talk about dead pirates again.
Yes.
So Laura brings up at dinner
I'm a
every
Pittsburgh-
night.
I'm a Pittsburgh Pirates fan.
Not that. I'm obviously
Pirates of
talking
Pen
about
Ants.
your favorite musical. What?
No, I'm telling
Weirdo.
a story about the bird.
The bird.
So we brought the kids home, the students from the mission trip last year.
Yes.
Because we had free time.
Uh-huh.
And anyway, so they came to our house, and the bird came in then.
Okay.
So all the students are in like our living room,
Mm-hmm.
and they're like, "What is that sound?" I'm like, it's the bird that lives in our chimney sometimes. And so we let it out, and it was flying around the room, and I have to catch it with a towel.
Yeah.
You catch it in the towel, and then you let it loose outside again.
Oh, you're just a humanitarian.
Do you ever have a bat in your house?
No.
We used to.
I don't think I've ever had a wild animal in my house.
Eh,
You gotta say
you had a snake.
Oh, dude, I forgot about the snake.
That's a really wild animal.
I've had two.
There you go.
I've had two snakes.
What happened to that snake?
The first one or the second one?
The first one,
Same answer for both.
which was what?
Death.
See, I'm saving the life of my wild animals.
Listen.
Maybe this is why they keep coming back.
Who has given us dominion over the animals?
Yeah, but it doesn't mean to just kill them.
I'm pretty sure snakes, it's fine.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
serpent, yeah.
Yeah, the serpent, you just crush it with your heel.
but not a heel. What'd you use?
Ball bat. My grandpa's priceless baseball bat.
What happened to that ball?
Cracked right in half. Right up the middle.
Was it like used by Babe Ruth or something?
It wasn't used by Babe Ruth, but it was a 1905 Louisville Slugger that I didn't realize the value that it had at the time.
How much you think it was worth?
It was in the condition that it was in. It was worth over $250.
And you killed a snake with it and broke it.
Oh, I messed that snake up. Actually, no. Okay, that's not true. That wasn't the Louisville Slugger. The Louisville Slugger. I don't even want to say.
What happened to that thing?
The Louisville Slugger?
Yeah, tell me.
What? I killed that. What killed that?
Yeah, what?
It's a spider. There's a big spider in my basement, and I hate spiders. They scare me so bad. So I grabbed that ball bat, and I'm like, I'm going to teach you a lesson. And I crushed it. Yeah. And then the bat split in half, and my heart also split in half.
Oh.
My grandpa would have not been proud of me.
No.
As a guy that I watched that guy kill a yellow jacket with his fingers one time. He would not have been proud of me.
So like it came up and he just like caught it and squished it.
Yeah.
Oh man.
It's tough. He had those like old man, like leather hands.
Yeah.
Like baseball mitt.
Yeah.
The biggest hand I ever seen in my life. He's tough as nails. Not me. I need a baseball bat to kill a spider. Okay, so this is what happened with the snake. This is the true story of the snake in the basement. So at our old house, this is before Sarah and I even had kids. I went down into our basement, and how our old house was set up down in the basement, it was finished, so it was kind of like a living room. And so I walked through the living room and saw a stick lying in the middle of my dark. Stick. Yeah, it was just a random stick. I was like, ooh, what is that? And I get up a little bit closer because I didn't turn the lights on. Why, I don't know. But I get up a little bit closer to the stick, and the stick starts moving. And I went, ah! And I went running up the stairs. And I went to Sarah, and I'm like, Sarah, there's a snake in the basement. She's like, in the finished side or the unfinished side? I said, it's in the finished side. She's like, well, you're going to have to get it out of here. I'm like, I'm not getting it out of here. She's like, do you expect me to? And I said, yes. I'm afraid of snakes. She's like, no, I'm not getting the snake. She said, you have to do it. So I was like, I scanned my brain, and I was like, what would Steve Irwin do?
He would catch that thing by the tail.
Yeah, he would have,
yes.
Zachy. So this is what I did. I went over to my fireplace, and I got the fireplace poker that has a little hook on it.
So you're going to hook its tail?
No, I was going to hook it and grab its tail and then walk it out. This snake was not cooperating. So when it started moving faster and it looked like it was going to go under my bookshelf, I smacked it.
Yeah.
In half.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
All right.
And that was the end of the snake.
Oh, man. That's terrible.
Second snake.
Snake number 2. I would have moved by the time snake number 1 was there.
This was in my new house.
Oh.
So in our current house, in the man cave.
Oh.
Snake snuck in. All right?
That's things with snakes. They're sneaky.
They are. Okay, Zach, so on the one side of my man cave is like that garage door, right? And so I'm moving some boxes that are by the garage, and this little guy goes like, I'm like, oh! But this time, Zach, I went in pursuit. I'm like, not in the man cave, Satan. And I find him all, he's all huddled up, and he's in his little crouch position ready to strike at me.
Yeah. Got him.
I got him.
Nice.
I forget what I hit him with.
Something.
I got him out of there, though.
Good. So, look at you, snake wrangler.
That's me.
Steve Irwin would be very upset with you.
Yeah, Steve Irwin would not be proud of me. But you know who was proud of me that day?
Your wife?
Steve.
Steve Mikulski.
Steve Mikulski. With my planted thoughts.
Yeah. Anyway.
I don't even know if that really happened. I think that's just a planted thought.
Anyway,
I'm just kidding. All right. Zach, let's get on to the meat potatoes. When we come back, the good stuff.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
So, what are we going to be talking about today, Stevie?
Zach, you came up with the topic for today.
I did.
Zachy, you came up with the topic.
So, I was searching around, something to talk about here, and went to one of our staples that we have.
I'm pretty sure we're going to have to start paying royalties to Relevant Magazine.
But sometimes they've got good articles
that really interesting, thought-provoking,
I don't think
faith-based
we haven't used one in a little while here. So I found an article that says 9 ways your ego prevents you from experiencing God. And I was like, okay. Clicked on it and read it, and I thought there were some good points here. And when the article talks about your ego, it says here that it's referring to the flesh, like Paul would say. You might call it flesh. I believe your definition for ego closely parallels Paul's definition for flesh.
Which is?
So the ego is who you think you are. It's your false identity. It's your body image, your education, your theological knowledge, your social status. It's like
How you think you present yourself in the world. Like what you represent.
it's like your inner pride, your inner flesh.
Okay,
As the Paul,
okay.
It's what rebels against the spirit.
Okay, exactly.
Okay.
So how we represent ourselves in the world.
Right,
essentially.
and the whole idea of the topic is, as Christians, we do a really bad job of emulating Christ,
Oh, yeah.
and you see it all around. There's arguments on social media. There's fights. There's all kinds of stuff going on.
Everybody seems to have a different idea who Jesus is
Yes,
and how we are to represent that.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so, why, as Christians, is it that we are like this? We shouldn't
Okay.
be.
Yep.
And so, this article is saying that the reason is it's because our flesh is battling against the spirit living inside of us. And so, this is 9 reasons why our flesh prevents us from experiencing
Okay.
God in our life and being used by God as
Yes.
we should be, being Christians who follow God.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
So I figured we could go through these and we could talk about each one, because as I'm reading these, I'm thinking, wow, I think she's nailing this, because
Who's the author of it? Let's give her credit.
the author is it is by Frank Powell. I thought it was
I thought it was a female too.
yeah. Maybe
Yeah.
it's Frankie. I don't know. It's Frank Powell.
Frank Powell is a gentleman
Okay, I'm sure
at
it is.
Relevant Magazine.
Okay.
I don't know why I read that. I did not read the author.
Well, the picture at the top is a woman.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Yeah. When I read the article, I think that picture, because they probably just use like Shutterstock or something, like some sort of like just basic photo that they have like a license for. And so I read that as a female
Yeah.
author.
Yeah.
I didn't read his name. Okay, so Frank Powell, thank you for this article, and we're looking forward to discussing it.
So here we go. I'm going to start actually with number 2. We'll go back to number 1 later because I don't understand it.
Okay.
But I'm going to talk with one that's pretty straightforward to
Okay,
begin with.
let's talk about it.
All right. So it says the ego or the flesh is
Yes.
highly competitive and thinks in terms of win-loss.
Yeah, I mean, I catch myself in this a lot, even within my closest relationship outside of God, which is with my wife. It sometimes becomes a win-loss for me. She's like,
Yeah.
Steve, not everything is winning and losing. She's
Yeah.
like, you talk in terms of like winning an argument or losing an argument, and we need to come to mutual terms. But that's the competitive nature of us as humans.
Yeah.
Is like either I'm right or I'm wrong. It's and maybe this is more pertaining to me, but I'm sure there's other people out there that struggle with this in a very black and white way
Yeah.
of looking at things. It's either good, bad, right, wrong, win, lose.
Right.
And so, yeah, I would say this is the constant fight for the Christian.
Yeah.
Because in human terms, that's what we see. Like, what's
Sure.
our favorite thing? Like, what one of our favorite forms of entertainment?
Sports. Yeah.
There's
a
always
winner
a
and a
clear,
loser.
Yeah, there's a clear winner or loser. Is there draws in something? Sure, but those aren't real sports. In real sports, I'm just kidding. Because I think in every sport there could be a tie, except for baseball, right? There's
Yeah, they
ties
just
in
keep
baseball.
playing.
They'll play until it's 4:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
But the whole point being is like we like that's just the society that we live in. That's the world that we live in. Is to get to the top, we have to push ourselves, and it's ultimately black and white to get yourself there.
Yeah.
Because either you're moving forward or you're moving backwards. It's it's once again it's binary.
Yeah.
It's one or the other.
And our social media, the way we experience it and use it, feeds into this in terrible ways.
Yeah.
Because you get on there and your opinion then is something that you have to defend
Yes.
because it's either right or wrong, win
Exactly.
or loss, right? So
Yep.
I put something out there, and if somebody disagrees with it, then that person becomes the enemy,
Exactly.
right? Oh, you don't agree with me? Well, we could be brothers and sisters in Christ, but since you don't agree with what I have to say, now we've become enemies, and we're not
Exactly.
pulling in the same direction.
Exactly.
So that happens, when you're having conversations. That happens when you're out and putting things out on social media. It happens when you think about politics.
Yep.
It happens in all different things.
Yep.
And what's really sad is when it happens when we are talking about God's word.
Yeah.
because I'll have an interpretation of a passage, you have an interpretation of a passage, and maybe that's not the same. Well, I'm right, you're wrong.
You're wrong. Yeah, and
Right?
I mean, and the sad thing is, and this has become far more common in our world, is this idea of my truth, which is almost a step beyond win and loss, because now it's like I can never lose because you can't correct me because
Yeah.
it's my truth.
Yeah.
Whoa, that's
Right.
dangerous. Like
Yeah.
truth, it's almost an oxymoron, because like truth has to be objective, not subjective. Otherwise, it's not true, right?
Yeah.
So
Right.
how I don't understand how that's even become a thing. Well, my truth. Well, that doesn't hold water. That's not how reality works. Because you have to be able to look at facts and figures to resolve things. But ultimately, when it comes to us as believers, are we looking to objective truth when we are making decisions, when we're saying things, when we're doing things, when we're trying to emulate Christ? Or are we basing it on what other people have said, which is subjective truth, which is not
Yeah.
truth?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a real problem for sure, Zach.
So number 3, or the second one we're doing.
The next one.
The next one. It kind of goes along with this one we just talked about, but it says the ego or the flesh must be correct and does not accept contradictions.
Okay, must be correct and does not accept contradictions. I think I need a little bit more expansion upon what that.
Okay.
What the author's referring
Author
to.
says, most of my Christian journey, I thought it was my duty to have the right answers. I studied hard, and when I wasn't sure, I made something up. But while
that's not
helping
good.
others make sense of God, especially those troubling parts about suffering and eternity, I became less certain. Something in me knew God's nature and interaction with his creation wouldn't be explained in a few sentences. Now I believe that something was my true self, the Spirit.
Okay.
And then it goes on to say, it's like we have to be right. We have to have all the answers.
Yeah.
And we come back to that as a source of comfort and as a source of
pride.
our foundation
Okay.
of who we are, is knowing what to do in a certain.
Okay.
It's not being vulnerable.
Okay.
It's being in control, I think is what it is. And so, especially when we're talking about God, if we don't know something, instead of saying, I don't understand, or I don't know something, we have to say something, and we have to, our flesh wants us to be in control of that situation.
Okay. The flesh does desire control for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the biggest hangups that we have. And why, this is another thing I'm talking about on Sunday, why we have so much anxiety is because our constant need for control, having our hands on the wheel, to be able to determine outcomes, because we want to steer it in the direction that we want to. And I think a lot of life in God is faith, and we can't steer faith. Faith is what it's what God gives us to trust Him, not what we give Him. It's never the other way around. Like we're doing everything in our power to trust God, and to follow God as believers. But yeah, that does kind of get messed up a lot of times because we don't want to give control to anybody else.
Yeah.
But when it comes down to having the right answer all the time, which I don't know how. Like I feel like this is a little, maybe I've segmented this a little bit in my own brain. But yeah, I think one of the dangers that we think we have to have is it's impossible to have all the right answers, and that maybe that is the tie-in here. A lot of it is faith.
Yeah.
One of the things I was reading as I was prepping for my message this week is because I'm talking about, I was just starting off with some commonly misused passages in the Bible, and the one that got brought up was something that some people are going to have different feelings on. And we're not going to get into necessarily where we stand on this, but one of the things that is often debated is Genesis 1-3, like how everything actually comes into being. And people think that, well, no, my answer is the right answer, and I think we have to leave a lot of that up to, all right, we can't know, we weren't there. Right. No one was there that recorded any of this. Only God knows. God imparts his wisdom to us, but there's just some things that are absolutely unknowable and not necessary for us to have a relationship with Jesus Christ. But if Jesus trusts and believes in the Father, then we need to trust and believe in the Father. And that's what it all boils down to.
Yeah, I agree. And this idea of control, I think what is so beautiful about God is his vulnerability. Now, he is all powerful. He is all knowing. He knows the beginning from the end. And you would think with that type of authority that he could just run our lives. He could be the giant
he
puppet
could be the
master
puppet master for
in the
sure.
sky. But think about the things that God did to win our heart that just showed his vulnerability. He let his son come from on high down to the earth as a baby, not as a fully grown man that could fend for himself, as a baby to a place where, kids don't make it, right? To a time where there's just not the healthcare that we've got now. If I would choose a time, I'd bring them to a different time, right? Yeah, right? And you think about that. Now go live a perfect life like no one's ever done before, right? And you just think about that vulnerability. If you think about putting his name, we are his flag bearers in a sense. We take who he is out to the world, and he entrusts us with that. Us. Like we think. The vulnerability that God shows. And when you think about that, that is a level of confidence that I think we lack as Christians, of not knowing everything. And going out there in the world just trusting in God and not having all the answers. Because I think we have to do that. Our flesh wants us to always be in control and not be made fun of and not be ridiculed. But Jesus was ridiculed. He was made fun of. He went to the cross and died for us, right? He ultimately lost his life. And so when we go out there with this idea that, hey, I have to have everything in control, I have to know everything, that's not how we were designed to do this. We're designed, like you said, to go out there and do it by faith, trusting the Holy Spirit's going to use us. We're not go out there with the flesh leading. It's going out there with the Spirit leading.
That's right.
And
that's great, Zach.
And that's a whole different level of vulnerability that this flesh doesn't want in our life. It wants to be in control. It doesn't want the Spirit to be in control. It wants itself to be in control.
Yeah. Control is always going to be an issue for us.
All right, next one. The ego hates change above all else.
Ego hates change above all else.
Yeah. What do you think about that? Do you feel like in your life you rebel against change?
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, we all get comfortable. Holy cow. This is another thing that I'm talking about on Sunday.
Well, that's good.
Is this just my message?
No.
No, it's just the Holy Spirit working. Here's the deal. We like comfort. And I'm talking about contentment on Sunday. And contentment is not synonymous with comfort. And it's not synonymous with even complacency, which is on the other side. But sometimes we get that idea that if I'm comfortable, then I'm going to be okay, I'll be content, which is not true. We think that comfort is a good thing when in truth, change is the best thing. Not that God changes, but that the world around us, as it changes, we have new, unique ways and opportunities to reach people for Jesus Christ. And so we have to accept that. Things are going to change around us. God doesn't change. He is a constant in my life. So I can be content in him and bringing people to know him. But it is like that and there's a lot of people that are like, oh, if we let anything change, then we can't maintain the control that we have. Well, that's the thing that we have to recognize. We don't have any control. We've never had control. Control is an illusion that we try to grasp onto, but it's never been there. We have to say, okay, God, as this world changes around me, I know that you are unchanging, and I am content in that. Help me to still be effective in doing the work that you've called me to do, even in the monotony of life. Even in the difficulties of life, you're above it all. And that's once again, we're gonna resist it because change means I've got to put myself back out there and try hard. And we don't want that.
Change means I'm wrong, not everybody else is wrong.
Yeah. And that is the other side of it too.
Yeah. What they said here was Jesus' first sermon in Mark 1:15 and Matthew 4:17 is to repent. And repent means to
Turn back?
to change your mind, to stop what you're doing, turn around and go the other direction.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. 180.
Yep.
Not 360.
And so they're saying your flesh's biggest fear is change because, remember, this is your pride. This is your internal desires. It's saying you need to change.
Mm-hmm.
Not everyone around you needs to change.
Mm-hmm.
It's not your friend's fault. It's not your spouse's fault that you're in this situation. It's not your coworker's fault. You need to look at
I
yourself
see what it's saying. I took that wrong. I took what that was saying wrong.
No. What you said was great. This is just a differn add-on to that.
Yes.
That's all. Yeah. So when we think about change in our own personal lives, about why I'm in this situation, what has got me here, a lot of times what we say is, I don't need to change. I'm fine. Everything else around me needs to change because that's why I'm all messed up. It's because, my friend offered me something, a drink, a vape, whatever that could be. It's their fault. Or, I lost my job at work. It's my boss's fault. Whatever that could be.
Yeah.
We blame
that's
everybody
good.
else. We don't look at ourselves. And what Jesus' first message was, no, look at yourself. You need to change. When you change, you become the change that everyone else.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
You're talking about the ultimate change, which is
Yeah.
not conforming to this world, but
Being transformed.
by
Right.
being transformed by the renewing of your mind. I don't know where that's at in the Bible, but it's really good.
Yeah, it's like your favorite.
It's literally above your head on the wall. Romans chapter 12. Oh gosh. Anyway, what's the next one, Zachy?
This
is good so far. I like this.
The next one is the ego or the flesh minimizes sins of the heart and focuses on sins of the flesh. So the ego minimizes sins of the heart and focuses on
Oh,
sins
I
of the
see what
flesh.
it's saying. So it's saying that, we make a bigger deal out of the sins of the flesh, but it's a heart problem. 'Cause
Yes.
everything stems from the heart.
Yeah. and
Oh
it's
my
like-
goodness, yeah.
And it's like we don't want to I'll change my action,
Yeah,
but I'm not going to change why I have that action.
exactly.
And that's what it's getting at here. Like, this is your true self,
Yeah.
right? Or what? It's the part of the human part of us that's rebelling against the spirit. Is
Yeah.
what we're talking about here. And that's saying, all right, I'm doing something bad over here. I'm just going to stop doing that. And you still have the same sin problem in your heart.
Oh yeah, big time. I mean, this is something that I dealt with a lot when I was doing, I was in counseling. Was recognizing that all the superficial elements of my heart problem were just that. It's something much deeper. It's like just wanting to fill a void and a need in my life, and that's why we focus on, if I just stop spending money, if I just stop, doing this or doing that, I'll be okay. I'll be back to normal again. And the truth is, we have to dig down deep. It's like, okay, the grand example, or the better example would be like if you have a wound, you have a cut.
Yeah.
But the truth is, you could treat that cut, but if an infection's gotten down deep, then there's gonna have to be some digging to get down to whatever that, because it could go all the way down to whatever. I'm no medical expert, but I know that becomes an issue for some people, where it's the superficial wound is not the actual issue. It's the infection that is ravaging.
Yeah.
But we look at the superficial as I can fix that because I can see that, when it's the heart issue that our hearts need to change, which really goes along with the last thing.
Right.
We have to recognize that how I view things and how I internalize things is affecting how I present myself and how I go about living my life, how I express myself.
Yeah. I mean, that was Jesus' Sermon on the Mount,
Yep.
right? He's going through all of these things, whatever that could be. like if you lust after a woman, cut your eye out, right? He goes to these, very far-reaching.
Cut off your hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's these things that whoa, what are you saying there? And what he's saying is get to the heart of the matter.
Yeah.
The reason why this is happening, that's what you need to change. More, the action change will follow after that.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
And that's going, once again, a fine example of the issues that we have with ourselves is, it's never simple.
Yeah.
It's never a Band-Aid that needs to happen. It's usually a large
Yeah.
procedure that needs to be done.
All right. This one hits me right in the
Hit you in the feels,
right
Zachy?
in the feels. It says the flesh needs to feel special and is reluctant to give others praise or credit.
You're reluctant to give other people praise?
Yeah.
No, you're not. Maybe it's just with me.
No. I think I try to work at it, but I can tell it in the deepest, darkest cockles of my heart.
You don't want to.
I want to, if I do something good, to have other people say I do a good job.
Yes.
And so if I do a good job and someone else does a good job at the same time, I'm like, dang it.
That's your competitive spirit.
Yeah, I mean that's part of it. Like I want to be the star. I want to be the one that gets patted on the back and people tell me I did a good job. Like that's what I want. And so I have to rein that in a little bit because that's obviously we're doing this thing together. And so I do feel that sometimes. And you can tell that also when you're having conversations with people who are struggling with the same thing. Yeah. Because you'll tell them your triumph of the day and they'll go straight to telling you all the great things they did that day.
Sure.
And that happens in conversations. You'll have 3 conversations like that today when you tell somebody something. And maybe even a person comes to mind because there's certain people that I've had in my life that is
it me?
No. It's not you. I'm not going to
talk about this on the air.
I wouldn't have brought it up if I thought it was you. I would not have done that.
That's not good.
No, not public.
We should work it out, man.
Not publicly.
Okay.
I'll tell you privately. No, but that's the thing. Like you want to be that. Sure, we say it's our competitive spirit, but it's our flesh rebelling against who God wants us to be.
Exactly.
And so I definitely feel that way. Do you struggle with that?
Oh, for sure. Of course.
You spit everywhere.
Into the pop shield. No, here's the deal, man. I'm constantly, I think we all, and maybe it's more, I think it's universal. I don't think it's necessarily with men. Men tend to be more outwardly competitive, but I think men and women we're all competitive. It's just some of us do better. I think ladies might internalize it more than guys. Guys will externalize their competitiveness. Women will be like, "No, everything's cool," and inside it's like there's a fire that's been lit,
burning.
It's burning. It's ready to go. So I think this is definitely something that we all will struggle with because, especially when we are striving to be the best form of ourselves and trying to get ourselves to where we want to be. Once again, this is all going against the grain of what Jesus has called us to be.
Yeah.
We will run into this where it's like we have a hard time, and we're called to compliment and build up and encourage our brothers and sisters in Christ. And I've done better at this where I hate saying that because then it sounds arrogant. So I'm just say all I'll say is like I've tried harder to be more encouraging to people and building people up. Even though sometimes inside of me, like I'm still dealing with my own insecurities and my own desire to be in that place. We talked about this last week. I overrate myself for sure. And, but I do feel like God's done, just through the Holy Spirit has done a lot of humbling.
Yeah.
And so it is a matter of humbling our hearts and saying, you know what everybody, like, okay, here's a good example. We've been talking a lot about our volunteer culture here at the church and how we're shifting it, how every position matters to the whole and no one position is greater. That is the most biblical model that we could follow, that like every person that's part of the body of Christ, what they do matters to the whole. Like it's not greater or lesser in the eyes of God. Some come with greater responsibility, earthly responsibility. But ultimately, it all comes back to, we're just doing what God has called us to. So I say all that, and I truly do believe in that mentality. Mm-hmm. But when I see others getting credit that I feel is due to me, I'll compliment them. and say like, "Hey, I'm really happy for you," but inside I'm like, "I want that for me so bad."
Yeah.
And so it is a struggle. But I'm trying to let go of that. And I feel, and this, once again, going back to the whole idea of being content, it's like, I have what I have in front of me because God needs me to do it. And that should be all I need to know. Like, this is what God has given me. How is that not enough for you?
Yeah.
Because it's our human desire to want more. But like, hey, let's be proud of those who have greater accomplishments than us.
Yeah.
Because greater accomplishments usually come with greater burdens.
Right. Yeah, it does.
It does. Like, I aspire to. I talked about this last week. I'd love to be, a senior pastor someday. But that's me personally. I always forget, like, so much more responsibility. It's responsibility that I could, handle. But it's going to take a lot more out of me too.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't, and it's like, Sarah always tells me, she's like, you have to remind yourself, like, these are the days that God's preparing you, could possibly be preparing you for another step. So enjoy what you have now, because it's not always going to be this easy. I'm like, sure, but she's right, because it is going to get harder. Everything gets harder because even though we think we're going to be content once we get to a certain place, every new thing presents new challenges and new frustrations, and it gets even harder. I think I went off topic a little bit.
It's all right. Next one. It says, think about this for a minute. It says the ego or the flesh equates all self-knowledge, meaning understanding who we are, gaining understanding of who we are, with self-absorption. Meaning
it's all about me.
Meaning, don't try to understand who you are, because when you do that, you become selfish. And what they're saying is that's your flesh telling you to don't try to understand who you are deep down, because when you do that, you're just making it all about yourself and you're not loving other people.
Gosh, man, that's the world's problem right now.
Yeah,
it's all about the individual. It's like, become absorbed with yourself, because whoever you think you are is what you're supposed to be. Is that not what this is saying, though?
Well, you're saying, like, that's the response that the church would say to trying to understand who you are. Don't do that.
Yes.
Don't become the individual. But what this is saying is,
I'm saying the world's response, not the church's response.
Right, I know. But what you're saying, what this article is saying is that response right there is also the church's response.
Oh, okay.
Saying all about me is bad. In the fact that when you're trying to understand who you are, why you're who you are at your core, like when you're trying to understand the ego or the flesh.
Okay.
When you do that, you're becoming self-absorbed and you are losing track of who you are.
All right.
This article is arguing that you need to understand yourself, and who you are at your core. And when you do that, you begin to see the flaws that you have. And
if it's from that perspective, yes.
Yes, that's what it's saying. That's like the beginning of understanding that I've got a problem.
Yeah.
Is to knock down all of these facades that the flesh is making in my life.
Yeah.
It's not my fault. You need to be in control. All of these things. You get all of those out and you begin to look at yourself and think, oh, I've got a problem here and I need to change. I need to work on this. I need to do these things. And by doing that, that's not a bad thing.
I agree.
Right? But what we think as followers of Christ is, don't worry about yourself. God's got you. Go out there and love other people, which is what we're called to do. But there's also this idea of we need self-understanding love, in order to allow ourselves to be used by God properly.
Yeah.
So that's what they're saying.
Okay.
What do you think about that?
But you're asking me?
Yeah. What do you think? Do you think that's you see a little bit skeptical on this one?
It's not that I'm skeptical on it. I don't think I'm grasping it, and I'll just be fully transparent. This one's a little over my head.
Yeah. No. Okay. I think it's just a statement that you need to.
You're gonna explain it again.
Yeah.
Explain to me like I'm 5.
You need to be able to look at yourself and self-evaluate.
Oh, okay. Then
and-
yes, I
and
do
figure
fully
out
agree with
why you have all of these problems.
that. Yeah, I mean, yes, but yeah, not to the point though where it becomes all about me and my problems. Yes.
Correct.
Absolutely. Then yes, I fully believe that is what we were supposed to do.
Okay, that's fine. We'll go to the next one here.
Yeah,
It
please.
says, what we do oftentimes is we romanticize the past, we idealize the future,
Now-
but we rarely live in the present.
100%, man. This is my message on Sunday.
It's funny how this God works
It's
all
like
this stuff together.
everything was great.
Everything's going to be good
and
someday.
I know if I change, I can get back to being great. And it's like be content with right now.
Yeah.
With everything that's in front of you right now. Take everything on task by task, day by day. And put God at the center of it. Look for opportunities to allow other people to see the joy that God gives you. Like that is true contentment in life and just in living. It's like, yeah, it could be really awesome right now if you let it be. But I get so fixated on what's to come and what's next, and then I'm going to be finally happy when I get there.
Yeah.
And I can tell you about every time that I was like, it's going to be better. 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 And guess what? It's always hard.
Yeah.
Why? Because every day presents its own challenges. And I think the Bible, Jesus talks about that specifically. He's like, a lot, like, tomorrow has its own troubles. Take on what you have today.
Right. Don't worry about tomorrow. Right.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
And you can enjoy it.
This is why when me and my cat can't remember anything about the past, it's great. Just live with the happy roses. No, I'm not joking. I'm just joking about that. But no, I do the same thing. I think, oh man, life was so much more fun back then when we didn't have all this responsibility, or it was great back then. Someday it's going to be good as well whenever I get past what I'm going through now. And you know what we're going to do in the future when we get to that someday? We're going to look back to the time we are right now and think,
so
man,
much easier back then.
it was so great then.
It was so good. Nah, there's some stuff. I'm going to be like, I'm so glad that never again. But yeah, you're right though. We always romanticize the past because we forget about the struggles and we only remember the good things.
Right. Which
is like, once again, I think it's just how beautifully God has wired us and has made us. And maybe that's why I can't remember anything from my child. No, I'm just kidding, Mom.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. Like, sidebar, it was really funny because I was talking to my mom texted me after our 90s, nostalgic for the 90s thing. And she was like just bringing up some stuff. She's like, "You did the book it all the time." And what was the other? Oh, but she was saying, because I mentioned the thing about all that in a bag of chips
Yeah.
thing, because that was like one of the quotes from the 90s. And she was like, "I didn't start saying that until 2007, and here's my proof." And I'm like, how do you remember that? It was crazy. It was really, really, really funny. But yeah, like we look back at the past and that our last episode was dedicated to the past and everything that we remember from it. But then, even at the beginning of this podcast, we were talking about what the 90s actually were.
Yeah.
Which were snarky and sarcastic, and it was kind of dark a little. But, but we look back on it and we romanticize everything because it was good. And we think like, oh, I wish it could just be like the old days. But it's never going to be that, man. But what God's doing right now is awesome. Even though, the problems around us has changed, but God hasn't changed, and what God can do hasn't changed. So let's just be in awe of that daily.
All right, two more.
No,
It says the
I want
flesh
3.
seeks immediate gratification and despises anything hard or uncomfortable.
yeah, I think we've
that's
covered that.
pretty
At
straightforward.
length. It's very straightforward, and it's 100% correct.
Yeah. We definitely choose.
I think we've done an entire podcast on talking about
we
immediate
choose
gratification.
the shiny, sugary thing instead of the vegetables.
The thing that takes, that's going to take a little bit more longer to appreciate. But when you're 87, those Brussels sprouts paid off.
I know. But did they though? All right,
For me, they did. I love me a good Brussels sprout.
All right.
Deep
Last
fried in butter.
Last one. We went to this restaurant when we were down in Georgia. It's called Lizard's Thicket.
I remember.
And they on their menu they put our vegetables are not vegetarian.
Yeah, because they put them in
Because
beef
they
tallow
cook it
or
in,
something.
Yeah, like pig fat.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. So number 9, last one. It says the flesh is sensitive and easily offended.
Oh yeah. But I mean, I think this is okay. There's nothing wrong with being sensitive, and let me start off by saying that I think we all have a level of sensitivity, and I think we need to be sensitive to how other people take things and perceive things, and we shouldn't be cold and callous at all. Having said that, we've taken sensitivity to an extreme where everything is wrong. Like, you can't say anything. And, like, there is a level of critiquing that needs to happen as a society so that we can better one another.
Yeah.
You know, one of the misused verses of the Bible is judge not lest ye be judged. But, like, that's also referring to the fact that we have to be willing to receive, you know, criticism if we're going to give criticism. And criticism can be helpful, but, like, are we like taking care of ourselves? Are we letting ourselves be critiqued so that we can help others and so that people can say the same thing to us? You have a big smile on your face.
No. I'm just listening to you. You make me smile.
This is thanks, man. but this is I think sensitivity has gotten almost perverted in a way where it's like you can't say anything without bringing some level of offense, because this is the way that I like to do things, or this is the way I think things should be done, and so everybody's going to be offended. I think true sensitivity is saying that love will always present its own set of challenges.
Yeah.
But loving people does not mean that we just let them do whatever they think is best when we know ultimately it's harmful for them. True love is bringing to people's attention things that are potentially harmful. It's like the kid. Okay, for example, and hypothetically speaking, if you see your kid up on the roof and you're like, "Well, they really like superheroes. Let's just let them, have fun." It's like, no. Real love would say, "Hey, that's gonna hurt you because if you fall, you will die."
Yeah.
And that's an extreme example, but some people would say, like, well, you're going to hurt his feelings if you tell him that that's not, like, you're not just letting him be and live out his own truth or whatever. When the truth is, like, it's going to kill him if we don't resolve it, if we don't take care of it, if we don't say something. And true love is just that. Jesus didn't come and say, "Hey, do whatever you want, guys. I love you no matter what." It was, "Hey, you got some problems here.
Yeah.
And I want to help you through them.
Yeah.
Because I care about you and I love you.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I'll lay my life down for you."
And I think there's another aspect of this as well.
Go ahead.
Talking about being sensitive. And you touched on one part of it, but I think it's also in relationships when we don't see the other person is broken as well. What happens is we become sensitive, we get put out, we get angry when someone offends us, says something to us, does something we don't like, whatever that looks like. And it could be something silly as just in a conversation, they're short with me. Or they say something, how can you say that? Like, how can you say that in that certain way? And that happens all the time. We become easily offended because of that. Mm-hmm. What happens is we don't put ourselves in another person's shoe. Because sometimes maybe you have said something that offended someone and you had no idea you did it.
Yep.
Because in that moment, the kids were running around. I got cut off when I was driving. Somebody just cut me off. Whatever that could be. In that moment, I reacted, said something harshly.
You're internalizing something from even earlier in the day, whatever.
Yes, and you say something, and it has nothing to do with that person. Well, I've heard that now. I'm the other person now. I've heard that, and I'm like, how can you talk to me that way? You're my boss. You are my friend. You are my spouse. How in the world can you... How can you do this to me?
Yeah, I've done this, yeah.
And we do this, and we don't think about what we need to do in those instances. If someone has said something to offend you, before you throw a hissy fit, before you internalize it and think that you are the reason why this is all happening, take a step back and show that person love and grace.
Oh, for sure.
Because when you do that, you'll begin to realize, maybe it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
Maybe, they really don't think I'm the worst person in the world. Maybe they don't think that they're so much better than me. Maybe they're just having a bad day. Maybe they're just something going on in their life. And so, but what our flesh tells us is, you've been wronged. You need to make this right. You need to call them. You need to do this. You need to stick up for yourself. In reality, it's just two people living life. They're both going through stuff, and we're just bouncing off each other, right?
Sure.
And that happens. And as Christians, we need to show each other grace and love and in those situations, and be a light instead of giving it right back.
Yeah, instead
right?
of thinking like, well, the world revolves around me.
The world revolves around me, and so that happens, I think, with everybody all the time.
Absolutely.
And one way of doing that is loving the other person before we love ourselves, right? And we talked a little bit about
that's the ultimate.
Just the last one about self-realizing who we are, loving ourselves, and that helps us to understand who we are and how we can be used by God. But we need to love others, put others before ourselves in the fact of serving like Christ.
Gotcha. Being
loving like him. And when we do that, show people grace.
We remember that people aren't perfect.
Yes, you'll get less offended if you remember that your friend is just as messed up as you are.
They're human.
Yes.
They always say things the right way. Now, I ran into that this week. I'm not going to give the full details of it, but Sarah's like, you don't always say things the nicest way. And I'm like, and I ran it back. I'm like, that's why they perceived it like that. And I didn't intend it for it like that, but that's how it came across.
And that happens to you too. Like
what? Oh, I take things the wrong way.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
All the time. I will fully admit that, and it's because of my own ego and my own pride. It's like, how dare you? You who I am?
Yeah.
I'm Stephen Peterson Dave Mikulski.
Yeah.
That's my full name.
Nice.
There you go. Yeah. No, but it is a matter of like, where is our humility?
Yeah.
And where is our recognition of the fact that we are not the center of the universe? That the ultimate law and rule in this world is to put God above everything and then love our neighbor as ourself. And if we continually come back to that, we'll get things right.
Right. Love our neighbor as ourself. You have to love yourself first, right? Love yourself. Love your neighbor as you love yourself.
I always interpret that as you would care for others as you would care for yourself.
Yes.
Because we're going to take better care of ourselves than we would anyone else.
Right.
Because
exactly.
of self-preservation. That's just the natural
part. But take care
part.
of yourself too.
You have to take care of yourself, yes, but don't make yourself the primary concern.
Correct. Yes.
But there are going to be times where you need rest, and there's going to be times where you need to recoup, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
Do so.
Very good.
Because ultimately, we have to take care of other people. Like that's what we're called to do. So, yeah, there's time for rest, and then there's a time to do, and God's going to take care of us through all of it. So
that was a nice little.
It was a very nice topic, Zachy. Good job. That sounded very insincere, but I really did enjoy it. Good job, Zach.
I didn't take it personally, Steve. It's all good.
You better not.
I'm not offended.
I took it more personally, and was offended that you may have been offended. All right, for Zach and Steve have a podcast. I'm Steve.
I'm Zach.
And we'll see you next time. Bye bye. Bye bye. And we're back. What?
Nothing.
Stop staring at me like that.
you were doing the sound of the bird that was trapped in the thing.
We were laughing the bird.
He's just with his little wing. He's just chimney sweep. He's using his little wing.
You like that way too much. I was just being stupid. So, like, we do actually, when we say we'll take a break, when we come back, we'll talk. We do take a break so we can talk about our second topic. And so Zach's looking at the thing, and I was like, you know what I'll do? I'll pretend to be the bird that's in that chimney. Oh gosh, that's so stupid. Hey, guys, let me in. It's real warm. Oh no! Oh my wings caught on fire, guys! You gotta let me in here. Could you guys please let now my tail feather, I can't put it out. Please help me.
That's exactly what's going on.
That's what the bird said?
Yeah.
This is
Anyway.
going in at the end of the podcast.
All right, that's good enough.
Go ahead.